Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Vet Chats, where we help veterans share their awesome stories and help make the veteran community a better place. I hope you'll stay tuned to hear how this generation is continuing their service. Also, a quick reminder, the Veteran Workbook is available. The best way to find it is to click the link in my Instagram bio. And if you've checked it out and you haven't left me a review yet, I would greatly appreciate that, as it helps other veterans find this great resource. So, for this short 10-minute episode, we are going to be talking about isolation. Why do veterans isolate after service? This is a phenomenon I've done myself, and I've seen so many of my friends go through as well. And maybe you felt like this too, or maybe you didn't even realize you were doing it and you're doing it right now. And I think this goes off of last week's episode when we talked about wanting nothing to do with the military. So you're already separating yourself from one culture, and it can just feel isolating by not being a part of that culture anymore. And so you kind of further isolate yourself because you don't feel connected to your new community or in the veteran community yet. And so you're kind of just you don't want to put yourself out there. You're in a very vulnerable state. And sometimes you're even just focusing on surviving, trying to make that same income, trying to figure out career path. I mean, you have a lot going on, so it's natural for us to want to store our energy by just keeping to ourselves and not putting ourselves out there. We might not have the energy for that right now. So I think as veterans, we isolate. It's like a form of protection for ourselves during that transition phase, and this can last anywhere from as soon as you get out. You could still be isolating or in this transition for years and years after. So there's not a set amount of time. And there's many different reasons why we isolate. So I think one of the big ones is that transition challenge that I was kind of talking about. You feel overwhelmed, you're trying to adapt to a new environment, so you kind of retreat in. You're not putting yourself out there yet. You also kind of feel like you lost all of your friends, or maybe people you were close with in the military, leaders, people that you kind of relied on in that community, and now that you're outside of it, you just feel very alone. And I just want to remind you that that is totally normal. And also, being part of that military culture, it kind of emphasizes, toughness, self-reliance. And so during this part, like this phase, you kind of feel weak, or you feel like you just need to suck it up and move on, and you're not really sure how to express these feelings or kind of identify what you're going through and why you don't want to go out and try to make steps towards a new community and make new connections. And you might even be frustrated with yourself because you're like, I couldn't wait to get out. I had so many dreams and plans, and I was excited to be involved with new people and new experiences, and here I am. I don't want to leave my house. I don't even want to go to the grocery store. I don't want to talk to anyone. And that's how I felt. I kind of shut down all my social medias. I didn't want to interact with anyone, and some of that was just, I didn't want to be asked the question, what are you doing now? Like, what's your plan now? I just kind of felt like I wasn't succeeding as how I thought I would be. Like, it wasn't I wasn't living out the vision that I planned when I left the military. So I kind of felt like a failure. Also, I did try to put myself out there once, and I wasn't rejected, but I wasn't met with the reaction that I thought. So I think that kind of like burned me a little bit. So I didn't want to do it again, and I didn't want to put myself in a situation where I was misunderstood. So maybe that's one reason why you're not wanting to put yourself out there, is because you're worried about being misunderstood or being looked at as a stigma, or people have all these misconceptions about what your service was. And so you're just better off not talking to people. Or maybe you had just like a bad experience in the military, and so you're kind of just, you're not trusting people as much as you should anyhow. And now when you get out, you're carrying that with you. You're saying like, I'm better off on my own because when I reached out for help, or people betrayed me. So you're just going on with that mindset of doing things on your own. So now, maybe you know someone who's going through this and you're listening to this for them. And so now I'm going to talk about steps you can take or encourage the veteran in your life to take to help get outside of this isolation, how to slowly, start warming up to people and connecting with that community, because as we talk about, it's so important to be involved and connect with people who have similar experiences and new ideas. It's one of the most determining factors of a happy life is your connection with others. So we need to get out of this isolation and start building those meaningful relationships. And this isn't going to happen overnight, so I would just start with what's the smallest thing you could do to kind of get outside your shell? And that's going to look different for everyone. I mean, it could be as small as just taking a walk outside, or maybe sending a message to someone, just saying hi, or reconnecting with someone. But you have to slowly get yourself to do that. Another one could be, and this is more for just actionable steps. Obviously, if you are having mental health issues, please see a provider. I mean, that should be first and foremost, and then they could work with you on how to come up with a plan on what to do. So this is in no way mental health advice. But reach out, look at veteran organizations. Maybe you are really interested in something, and there's organizations for everything, and find people that can also relate. Maybe there's so many veterans that are also just isolating and not wanting to talk or identify with that veteran community. So just take a look at them. You don't have to join them or help that veteran in your life. Just show them hey, there's a fishing one, there's a horseback riding one, just some examples, and try to get them to utilize them, or just think about it, just put it out there. Also, many veterans are kind of attracted to doing more physical things, like maybe joining a gym. I know a lot of vets who get into jiu-jitsu or MMA or something physical, because that's just an immediate bond between people, and it makes you feel like you're a part of something. That's a great way to get you out of isolation, because you're going to be encouraged to keep going back to the gym or wherever it is and showing up for that team. You could volunteer for something if you have time. And I know that's hard for a lot of people if you already have families, but you could volunteer with your family at your kids' school. Just think about ways where you could just be out in the public and chances to meet new people, because this is going to open those new conversations and help you feel more comfortable in your new community, and help you feel supported and learn new things about your community, what it offers, and how it can help you and how you can be a part of it, because there's not a lot of things more meaningful than serving others, and that's maybe even something that you missed while you were in uniform. So if this is you right now, you feel like you've been isolating, or you just feel like you're so disconnected, you don't fit in anywhere, and you don't want to put yourself out there, I would say you are on the right track even by listening to this, because first you have to realize what you're doing and understand that it's not in your best interest, and that you are responsible to take care of yourself now. And it's going to be uncomfortable and hard, but you can definitely do it. So first, identify that you're isolating, and then kind of take that personal initiative and look at what you're comfortable doing and slowly build that forward. If you're listening to this for someone that you know who's isolating, maybe a spouse or a friend that just got back after being in the military for a little bit, or maybe your son or daughter, just kind of recognize and give them some grace for this time in their life. They don't feel like they're a part of society yet, so they don't want to be engaged in things, and just slowly don't give up on them. Keep offering them support or ideas, or even if you say you'll go someplace with them and help them make new connections. I think that there's not much, that's a great step and very supportive. And if you're looking for resources, please reach out in our Facebook group, the Millennial Veterans. There's probably tons of resources available to you, and a lot of them are more local. So if you reach out there, somebody might know something that your state offers that could be beneficial to you. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope this helped.